Ice Spice's critics are surely licking their lips right now, gnawing their teeth, ready to devour her and her most devoted followers following the release of her highly anticipated album. After the immense pressure of putting out a full-length body of work since her breakthrough into the hip-hop scene, Ice Spice finally released her debut studio LP, Y2K. Now, with this body of work she just released, Ice Spice's aim towards this project is to prove what kind of artist she really is and to show the world she belongs here and that her hit singles are not just a fluke. The whole purpose of this project is to cement her place as part of the future generation of women in hip-hop, and the hype, marketing, and promotions behind this project were in full throttle, making it one of the most anticipated debut albums the rap scene has seen in a while. With all eyes on her and the world hyped up to hear what she's got, Y2K tanked woefully. It seems like Ice Spice couldn't handle the pressure and just crumbled to many fans' disappointment. This debut album is turning out to be one of the biggest flops we've seen in the rap scene in a while, without a doubt, as it just falls flat in every single category except maybe the production itself. To be honest though, this shouldn't come as a surprise when you consider that the rollout for this album, from the marketing to the thousands of dollars spent on promotions, focused on everything but the actual value of the music the fans were expecting. Instead of creating a buzz around the upcoming project and hyping it up by preparing the fans on what to expect from the songs on the album, her vision, and what she's trying to achieve with the project, Ice Spice and her team were more focused on ridiculous promotions that are detached from their main purpose, which ended up steering the focus farther away from her music. From all the shenanigans with Central C, where she pretends like she is dating him after stealing him away from his girlfriend, which turned out to just be some marketing publicity stunt, to the ridiculous live stream with Kai Cenat, all of these actions defeat the purpose they were trying to achieve. While the whole stunt garnered lots of attention, none of it focused on her album in any way. They just made more meaningless and forgettable content that people forgot rather quickly. Every single plan for the rollout of this album seems unnatural and too inorganic to achieve anything. It felt like they were trying to manipulate the fans by tricking them into caring about this album instead of focusing more on getting fans genuinely excited. But at the same time, if this Y2K album is the best Ice Spice and her team could cook up for the fans, they are terrible chefs, or maybe they've got some more strategies up their sleeves. Even by her standards, with the kind of music that she makes generally, this album is lifeless, deprived of substance and lacking in personality to say the least, and this doesn't just look bad for Ice Spice and everyone who contributed to creating this project, it's also a bad look for the entire hip-hop community as it shines a brighter light on the current awful state of the music industry. How could an artist who has been promoted as one of the best and hottest rising stars in the industry and also backed by the big guns in the music world culminate with a massive promotion budget that most could only dream of fail miserably? If all the connections and budgets she could possibly need from the industry to succeed still make for lyrics like this, quote, rap bitches on a pop chart, toasting bitches like a Pop-Tart, it really poses some deep concerning questions about the realities of the music industry and things going on behind the scenes. This shows just how hard they're trying to shove these artists with limited artistic range and low quality creations down our throat, and how far the quality of good music has fallen, especially in hip hop. The main reason why fans and critics alike are bashing this Y2K album, which could end up causing some serious damage to Ice Spice's reputation and a stain on her young career, is that the project isn't just poorly put together, but it also lacks originality. The album genuinely doesn't offer any sort of tangible quality to its listeners. When a 10-track project only runs for 23 minutes, you'll know there isn't much to hope for, as it seems like they just slapped 10 identical sounds together to make some sort of respectable track list. It's clear this album was not carefully crafted to tell any sort of story or to put fans in any sort of vibe, despite the album's title, Y2K, being advertised and hyped up as some kind of once-in-a-lifetime theme, like the way Travis Scott built the buzz on projects like Astroworld and Utopia. Despite all the branding and the never-ending hype of the album name and cover, there is not one reference to the Y2K movement on it. It's like the name of the album and the content of the album are two different strangers that found themselves put together, and this makes the title just as disposable as the whole content together. At the most basic level of any kind of rap music, this album can't do a simple job of entertaining the fans. Even if it lacks in quality, it can't even stand on its own in the speakers and on the club dance floor. One of the shortest runtimes of any album ever can't manage to go viral and retain its popularity. The low effort it took to put the project together is just way too obvious. Almost every single song is molded to crack the TikTok algorithm, and from the flow of the project to how forced and ordinary the lyrical direction is, you'll see clearly that Ice Spice is just obsessed with chasing virality over anything else with every single track. Listening to this body of work would probably give you a headache if you are a real hip-hop fan who appreciates decent music. What makes it all worse is that it doesn't just stop there. There are obviously other low-quality and basic hip-hop albums that have been released lately, but the artist at least tried to give the audience something new, something different. But for Ice Spice, that's entirely the opposite. She just kept repeating the same formula, same vibe, and same sound over and over and over again on this album. She just kept choking us with the same song with different titles. With this project, she proves her biggest critics right, and that the accusations that all of her songs sound the same and any sane music lover would find it hard to dispute that fact, because throughout the 10 tracks in this project, every beat is constructed like her first viral hit, which means they were all created within the confines of the TikTok algorithm, which in turn ends up creating a redundant sound and poorly constructed flows. The only thing more generic and ordinary than the production is Ice Spice herself. She has shown no improvement as a rapper or as a lyricist since Munch and Bikini Bottom dropped. It's almost like she's lost her confidence. No one was expecting her to do something insane on the album, obviously, but at the very bare minimum, she could have given us something unique to what she has been feeding us all this time. To be candid, if she gave the fans some of the low-grade lyricism that she became quite known for, they wouldn't complain too much. Instead, we were made to experience 23 minutes of some of the worst lyrical performances of the entire decade. With lyrics like standing on shit like a floor mat, all the attempts at trying to pass her off as some kind of new age lyrical genius and putting her as the face of hip hop is just plain foolish. It doesn't matter what type of music you like. You can safely say that Ice Spice has regressed dramatically as a writer. Obviously, it's not like she was always a great writer. She didn't set the bar that high anyway. Her one-liners and lyrical punchlines were once witty and fun at the very least, even though they may lack in quality, but this time around, she got nowhere near her ceiling. Now she sounds so juvenile and her lyrics so mind-numbing that it makes you wonder if there's more to what's going on behind the scenes, because the unnecessary bathroom humor and shitty lyrics make this album so repulsive and a laborious listen despite it having just 23 minutes of runtime. It really makes you question how anyone could have signed off on such a project and let it be released to the public, unless they're the architects of such a porous set of music, not giving a damn about respecting the intelligence of the listeners. This album will probably be buried in the abyss of the most disposable body of work ever created, and this just really leaves you thinking about Ice Spice as a rapper and everything else she represents for hip-hop. Y2K shows that Ice Spice and her team are trying to squeeze whatever they can from this redundant sound, and at this point there's nothing left to squeeze. To be honest, this just really shows the world the larger problem at hand with the current state of the music industry at large, because this album and most of her songs weren't made in the studio but instead in a boardroom. It's all about the profit for them, and as a result, they make her release such generic music because they're trying to play it safe, instead of trying to push Ice Spice's artistry forward to help her grow. Overall, they keep threading the same TikTok-oriented path by doing the same thing over and over again, despite fans expressing their discontent with this. They tried to use heavyweight features to offset the poor quality of the album, with the prolific Travis Scott being one of the most prominent names on the project. While their songs together sound catchy and entertaining, even having some good bars generally, the generic beat and production of the song make it not worth listening to more than once. Even Gunna couldn't breathe fresh air on the album. It's important to note too that her collab with Central C, because the beat is a little bit different from the other songs and it made the track interesting. At least it is easily the best track of the album. Their chemistry on the song in social media makes for a fun collab between UK drill and American hip hop. They even have a decent back and forth on the song. With the way they were all with each other on social media, you'd think they had something special going on with their relationship, but it was then revealed that these two faked their relationship to promote the collaboration, which is insane. All these shenanigans only show glaringly the inauthenticity of this album and leave the fans who listen to it with a sour taste, and to be candid, this is the overlying problem with Y2K. There are albums out there where the artist fails to translate their ideas into quality music, but with this album, they stand a better chance because Y2K is just a gimmick put together to pass as an original body of work. In an era where the attention span is at an all-time low and people seemingly care less and less about quality music or a carefully crafted album, albums like this hurt the entire hip-hop culture more and more, especially to the newer generations, because this shows no regard to the waning importance of valuable music. From its dry humor, tired out beats, and horrible writing, Y2K set the bar really low because it doesn't even come close to reaching the lowest bar of making a consumable and decent mainstream New York hip-hop in 2024. It's no surprise this experiment crumbled woefully because it felt like selling people expired products and expecting them to just take them without doubting their authenticity. It turned out to be an embarrassing moment for the people who tried to prop up Ice Spice as something she certainly never was. Now, everyone can see that bad music doesn't always cut it, with Ice Spice being unable to make a serious dent in the charts. At this point, hopefully more young artists, especially the ones that have the financial backing from the industry, will desist from coming up with a project like this one and try to pass it off as some genuinely made piece of art to their audience, in turn disrespecting their intelligence in such a crude manner. What are your opinions about this Ice Spice debut album, Y2K? What do you think about it? And if you find this video interesting, check out the recommended ones. Share, like, and subscribe to the channel to get the first view of subsequent videos.